Henry had kept it exactly as she had left it on the day she died. The flowered curtains and bedspread were old-fashioned, but he didn't mind that. In fact, it pleased him. He then opened the wardrobe where his mother had kept many of her dresses, selected one and lay it out on the bed. Fridays were very important to Henry. Friday was payday, and Friday was the day when he always brought home company. This Friday, however, was to be the most important of all the Fridays in Henry's 30-year-old life. It was the day Henry posted the first package. Chapter 2. Will Garrett was both misunderstood and underappreciated. Or at least that's how it felt to him. He was a detective constable. Well, a retired detective after tonight's little soirée at Lancashire Constabulary's headquarters club. The 1970s single-storey building nestled inside the grounds of the Force's training school and hosted social functions for serving officers of all ranks. Garrett had no respect for rank. Never had, never would. 32 years of service. That's how they'd put it to him. Service to Queen and country. After 9 years in the Queen's Lancashire Regiment and 23 as a copper, seemed all that remained was to celebrate those years of canine-like loyalty surrounded by suits he vaguely recognised. Garrett eyed them suspiciously. The suits, in turn, stood in preordained packs and order of seniority, laying off the booze in case further promotion depended on sobriety. Garrett watched with growing disdain as the officers sidled up to anyone who was the rank above them and stuck their tongues firmly in their backside. In general, the suits were not there to give him his send-off, merely to use the occasion as a sounding board or networking opportunity. Considering Garrett's dislike of seniority, the actual presence at his retirement party surprised him somewhat. After those 32 years of dealing with the dregs of humanity, the vile and the violent, nothing shocked the middle-aged detective too much. For these suits, the chance of brown-nosing themselves up the next rung was too good to miss. He just had to accept it and move on. However, there were a select few, who would be genuinely sad to see him go. Sad to lose what Will had secretly cultivated all those years. And, if the price was right, could still deliver for them in their hour of need. 32 years. He tripped over to the table where his retirement presents were neatly displayed. A gold watch took centre stage. Will picked it up and examined it. He had 2 far better examples sitting in his drawer at home. Fucking cheapskates. Born in Burnley and determined not to follow his father into the same factory job that killed him, he joined the army as an infantryman. On leaving the military, he'd married Doreen, a bright girl from a good family. Despite her fine intellect, she was a mousy woman with no imagination, especially in the bedroom. Will found her to be a mind-numbingly boring whine, who constantly ignored his sexual advances. As the marriage dragged on, Doreen became withdrawn and swilled down her Valium each night with a crisp Chardonnay. Despite his lack of feelings towards his wife, Garrett had never considered divorcing the woman. Will could never bring himself to lose half of everything he had now, even if Doreen had contributed more than her fair share. He looked at his empty glass and decided he needed another. Garrett wasn't much of a drinker. However, from being a young detective, he'd harboured another far more salacious vice. Unknown to the majority of his peers, he was addicted to whores, the common prostitute. Garrett had always been unable to control his urges. He'd found the act of paying for sex, or better still, using his position as a cop and getting a whore for free, as a perfectly formed sexual fantasy. From knee-trembling couplings down stinking back alleys to the rush of taking his freebie on the back seat of his CID car, Garrett had done it all.